The winter build continues. I recently took this to the BMW dealer in Idaho Falls because I was told that was the only place that would align it. So I took it there and they proceeded to give me a quote, which I will post, but I will show you why I took it there. I wasn't sure if this just needed aligned or if something was actually bent. If you check out those rear wheels, they are cambered pretty hard. I didn't realize if it was bent or, like I said, if it could be adjusted out. But turns out it has a couple arms right here, those guys, and they are bent both sides. And I've come to the conclusion that they were bent by the forklift when Copart either loaded it or took possession of it, because they're both bent in the exact same spot right where the forklifts would go. And I'm honestly kind of surprised that it didn't hit the shock here, but just right there is bent there and bent there. So that should be straight, and it's not. Yeah, so if I post a picture of that quote, they quoted me $1,400 to replace those. And another $1,400 to replace a ball joint on the front. So we're going to work on this. I'm going to get it in the air. I ordered some arms off eBay for $55, and we'll take care of it ourselves. All right, I took the nut off of this side. I took pictures of it to see where it was, because it appears it's related to the alignment, and I'm going to avoid going back to the dealer at all times possible. So I got it off, and this thing is now very floppy and bent. And now I've read that in order to get, let's see, that guy off, I have to pull this axle out of the way. I'm hoping it's not. That side is going to be terrible because it's got an axle and the exhaust. But this one, I'm going to see if we can make magic happen and not pull this axle out. But I don't have a lot of faith in that. Thankfully, it's pretty easy to get to all these axle bolts here. They're all external Torx, maybe a 12. But I'm going to pull this bolt out right here and then go for this one, and I'll let you know how it goes. This one was fairly easy. I just put an 18 on this side and rattle gunned it out. And so far so good. So good news, on the passenger side I was able to get this bolt out. Where is it? I just set it down without taking the axle out. So this is where it's going to go back. So yeah, passenger side's good. This one might not be so much so, because there's so much going on right here. I mean, in theory, I obviously would want to cut the muffler off because they sound a lot better with it cut off. But I'd rather do it more towards the back if possible. But I mean, if that's what it takes for me to save $1,300 to just cut this off for now and have it end like right here, then that's what I'll do. Hoping that won't be the case. See if I can get a socket up in there and break that loose and pull that bolt out. But I'll let you know yet. But yeah, so you do not have to drop the axle on your E46 if you're doing this. What do they call it? It had a weird name, but yeah, look at that. It's definitely not flat. But it gets so dark here so early. The UPS guy hasn't even shown up yet. That's what I'm waiting for. I was hoping to get this pulled apart before he got here so I could stick the new ones in and maybe drive this thing tomorrow. I guess time will tell. So there lies the problem. If you look at the diff, it actually is kind of offset to the left a little bit. See how you can see that mount right here, but on this side it's kind of in the casing, not kind of like an arm off of it. So yeah, I got the bolt loose, surprisingly, but I don't even know if I can get the bolt out without pulling the diff, because that's not even the axle shafts anymore. that's like hitting the diff itself. Maybe I can... I don't know who designs this stuff, but... And I'd say I'd cut the bolt and just replace it, but I still gotta get one back in there. So I guess I will think on it for a little bit and figure out what I gotta do. Because that's terrible. If you guys have any suggestions, let me know, because I really didn't want to pull the diff out of this, but maybe I have to. Okay, quick status update. I ended up chopping the muffler, which is now here. So I got that out of the way. Notice it has a vacuum line going to it, which is unique. I never noticed that before. I just pulled all the axle bolts. They are E46s. Now I'm going to hopefully be able to pop the axle out from the, I guess they're half shafts, hopefully. Hope I don't have to pull the, yeah, that would all make sense. Okay, yeah. Pull the axle away from the diff and hopefully get this angled enough that it'll actually come out, because if I did all this for nothing, I'm going to be pissed. And there's always a good chance of that, but I guess we'll see. I'm going to see if I can finagle it, move it around a little bit, and get that bolt out of there. Oh my goodness, stupid glove. So yeah, separate these two, pull the axle out of the way, and see if I can get enough angle on this bolt to get it. Otherwise I gotta pull the half shaft as well, or whatever these are called. The stubs, the part that sticks out of the diff. Hoping to avoid that, but everything I've hoped to avoid so far has not happened. So fingers crossed we can get a little luck our way. Okay, after a couple hours of struggling, watching a YouTube video helped out. I'll put a link to them in the description because it was pretty funny to watch. But I ended up taking the rear diff bolt out right here. It's a 21. And I loosened it and put the jack under it, lifted it up a hair, and then pulled the bolt out. So the diff is on the jack right now. And then on the front side up here, there are two bolts that I loosened. There's one on either side of this, let's see, this mount right here. Let me see if I can crawl up there and get a picture. There's one there. There's one there. And all I did was loosen them. I didn't take them all the way out. And by loosening them, I was able to get enough movement out of the diff. I could jack it up at the jack and then pushed it over just a hair. And the bolt magically came out. So I don't think you have to undo the axle bolts and take the axle off. And I ended up wasting time and taking the sway bar out and doing all this garbage, when I think by loosening those two up there and this guy here, and then putting some pressure on this to lift it up out of the way, the bolt came out. So I'll show you the piece I got, and I'll show you compared to the new ones. So that is the driver's side. So as you can tell, there's quite a bit of difference. If you line these up, you can obviously see why it was cambered in on the bottom and cambered out on the top. So I'll put the new one in on the driver's side, and we will call it a night because it is cold out here. But yeah, you can see the little bend that the old Copart forklift gave it. Alright, I got the driver's side in, which was the hard one. And then I fixed all my mistakes by putting the sway bar back on and putting the axle back in. And I set the alignment down here. I took a picture of the old one, and I figured it was probably pretty close to being aligned before the bar here got bent. So I took pictures of this and set it back as close as I could to that. Now I'm on to the passenger side. This one should be pretty easy. It's just going to go up in here like this, run the bolt through, and then in here, this guy will just, can't do it one-handed, but I'll have to push the knuckle out. This will go up over it like that, and then put the bolt through there, and then get it close to the alignment as well, and it will be done. I'm going to try to find a different alignment shop that will look at it without wanting to charge me $2,700 to fix it. But it shouldn't need fixed anymore. Hopefully that'll be it. So I'm going to put that in and we'll see how it looks. Alright, driver or passenger side is in, wheels are on, it is done. So in theory, we have learned that you do not have to cut your exhaust off. You do not have to lower your sway bar. What else did I take? Oh, you do not have to undo your axles. You can get this one on this side with nothing being changed at all. This one on this side, you have to undo this guy right here. That big diff mount. You loosen it, take the bolt out, put some weight on the diff here, lift it up. And then on the front side of the diff, there's 2 bolts. You loosen those, and then you can lift the diff up some more and push it to the passenger side. And when it's pushed to the passenger side, that bolt right there will come out without even taking the axle off. Hopefully, you can learn more from me doing it and not make the mistakes I did. But it is done. We're going to put her on the ground. And maybe we'll do a cold start video. How about that? Everyone seems to love those.